All right, thank you for staying with me and welcome back. This is still the Energy Outlook Live. And our conversation today is assessing the natural gas business in Nigeria. So, for those of you who don't know, natural gas is what we use for electricity generation in gas turbines and power plants. We also use it for cooking, and then we use it for fueling our vehicles, which what we know now as the compressed natural gas for or CNG, as you may call it. We also use for feedstock for producing fertilizers, plastics, chemicals, etc. And it has huge benefit, which is why we've been able to, as a country, agree that gas will be our transition fuel when we talk about energy transition. And it is because, it's cleaner than fossil fuel, and Nigeria has abundance of it. Okay. My guest is Mr. Adejo-Ogiri. He's Executive Secretary of the Association of Local Distributors of Gas and is equally the CEO of Highland LNG. Mr. Oga, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Wisdom.
Well,
Happy to be here.
I'm happy to finally get you on the program because when I thought about this conversation, I wanted someone who not just speak to it, but who plays truly in it. And you are someone I know that I see you in a lot of conferences. We've met in a few of them. Your expert insights really have been enriching. So thank you for making time to join us on the program.
Thank you again, Wisdom.
Okay, so we'll start quickly. I know the association had recently a business forum, and I was following the conversations there. And I want to start our conversation there first. What were the most topics that were talked about there, the most issues at the forum, and what are some of the action points, really, when we talk about gas in Nigeria? I know there was a lot that were talked about there. Just want to pick like a follow-up on that. How did that go, really?
Okay. Again, happy to be here, and great job you're doing with the Energy Outlook.
Thank you.
So let me start, first of all, by just giving a background to the ALDG.
Okay.
The ALDG, which stands for the Association of Local Distributors of Gas,
Yeah.
was set up about 5 years ago, and it was set up to focus on a specific part of the gas value chain.
Okay.
So what I'll call the downstream part of the gas value chain.
Downstream. Okay.
And particularly to focus on promoting the safe transmission and distribution of natural gas
Correct.
within Nigeria. Within Nigeria. Before now, the focus of gas has really been around more of export projects. We had the big NLNG.
That's Nigeria LNG?
Nigeria LNG,
Okay.
where, which has been actually the major, I'll say, face of the Nigerian gas industry.
And they have like a chunk of the domestic market.
Exactly.
For LPG, I think, yeah.
And we thought it necessary, to set up an association that will focus more on trying to promote that last mile gas distribution,
Okay.
which is where you get gas to the industries, you get gas to homes, you get gas, to the retail stations now trying to do CNG and all that.
Yeah.
So that is the basis of, that is the, what the ALDG is all about.
Yeah. Okay.
And how do we achieve our objective? One of the ways to achieve our objective is to continue to advocate,
Okay.
for gas to take its rightful space within the Nigerian ecosystem.
True.
And we do that by engaging with key stakeholders responsible for policy formulation, regulatory, the regulatory authorities, as well as even the legislators who are responsible for passing the laws, enabling laws, and as well as bringing stakeholders like ourselves and players, operators together.
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons we did a business forum.
So your membership strength is how many now?
Okay. Our membership strength at the moment is 22.
Okay.
We have 22 corporate entities. Membership is restricted and it's quite exclusive
To corporate entities.
corporate entities who are either distributing gas via pipelines,
Okay.
via CNG or LNG,
Okay.
or those that are playing in the infrastructure space. So they are building, constructing the pipelines, they're building gas distribution facilities,
Okay.
they're building, gas processing plants that helps to enable the distribution of gas.
Okay.
So those are the kind of members we have.
So
But quickly to touch on the business forum.
Yes, where I was going to the forum.
So we had that business forum to bring the various players and stakeholders together.
Which is
with-
combined of all these persons you've mentioned.
Exactly.
Now. Okay.
And also the other the government agencies, so the regulators, the legislators, the policymakers. We had the Ministry of Petroleum Resources there, right? And the various, even the Presidential CNG initiative, you know. So it was a mix of both private and government entities coming together, you know, with the theme on strengthening the gas value chain, right? Challenges, innovations, and the path forward. So that was basically what we attempted to do. Some quick consensus around the fact that our Nigerian gas industry is underperforming relative to its potential, and I hear you mention that in your opening statements. And what are the key things we need to do? We've seen some progress from government, but there were also some consensus around, you know, collaboration, right?
That's collaboration within the corporate entities.
More collaboration within the players. More collaboration even within associations. More collaboration, deepening collaboration between the industry and the government, you know, towards working together and deliver on the objective.
So what are 2 action points you took, I mean, that came out of that forum?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
The first, let me talk about collaboration among players. There was a consensus around, you know, more on infrastructure sharing, so that we can optimize the infrastructure we have, reduce cost, pool our resources, so that we can get gas at a more competitive end user price to the consumer. So that was one. The second key action points were the need to strengthen advocacy. And I'll give the issue around take the initiatives to promote gas as a transport fuel, as a preferred transport fuel. There's still a lot of wrong, negative perceptions on the safety of gas.
Especially as people are switching their vehicles from petrol to CNG.
Exactly. So there was some key consensus on what we needed to do. Industry, government, you know, working together to ensuring that we pass that information that gas is actually very safe, actually safer than the liquid fuels we have today, and using that to help see how we can stimulate adoption of gas in our domestic market.
And that was like the first kind of forum that you're putting together as an association. Is that correct?
Yes, it was.
It was. Okay, fantastic. So my next question now will go to, I mean, I know sometime in 2008, we had the Nigerian Gas Master Plan, which was approved by FEC around 2008 as the gas infrastructure blueprint of the country. Out of that plan came off the AKK project, pipeline project, and all of that. Where are we on this master plan? I want to start from there before we go into other conversation, especially assuring the nation's long-term energy security, you know, which is a major issue as it is now.
Good.
So I don't know if you want to talk through where is that plan now? If as an association you're monitoring it and you're looking, I mean, part of what came out of that plan, I think, is also the decade of gas. Where are we with that plan?
Good. Very good question. So let me just step back a bit. You're right. 17 years ago, we came up with the Nigerian Gas Master Plan, which was a well-documented plan, you know, with some policy reforms to make gas more commercially. You know, before now gas wasn't seen as a very commercial and viable product. So we came up with some pricing reforms to enable the upstream, to incentivize the upstream, right, to invest in gas, because we had a series of pricing mechanisms to make gas more cost reflective. And we also came up with the infrastructure blueprint, which is required for you to take gas from the sources, to the gas sources, to where the demand centers are. And one of them being the AKK. So if I digress a bit, so the AKK, coincidentally, we just had an AKK forum just yesterday.
Yeah, just yesterday.
In Abuja.
That,
yes. So the AKK is one of those. I would say came out of that master plan. The master plan. Today, AKK became a real life project in 2020 under the late President Muhammadu Buhari. And as yesterday, we were told by NNPC that the AKK is at 83% completion.
86%.
Okay,
around
86%, with a projected timeline for completion in 2026.
Yes.
So if I step back, I would say that master plan, we're seeing the fruits of that master plan.
Yeah, a segment of it will be done by this year, December, and then the next segment will
yes.
be concluded by next year.
But if I step further, around 2020, when we declared the year of gas, we quickly realized that there was a mismatch, right? First of all, we talked about Nigeria underperforming relative to its potentials,
countries,
right? But we also quickly realized that if we didn't do something, if we didn't have a more concerted and focused effort, we're going to have a problem. We're going to have a supply-demand imbalance. So, talk of energy, we're going to have a situation where by 2030, there was this big anticipated demand for gas, but the industry was not coming up with supply projects to meet that demand.
There would have been a huge gap.
Right? Yes. And secondly, there was also all the issues around energy transition, right? And the need for countries that had gas resources to begin to think of how to monetize and commercialize those resources, or else they stood the risk of having those resources stranded. So that led to the decade of gas, where the government at the time decided that this 2021 to 2030 decade was a critical period where we needed to refocus, right, on this sector and use this sector as a platform for the development of the economy. So that's how the decade of gas came in. There was a decade of gas master plan which built on the initial gas master plan.
Okay.
And today we have a decade of gas secretariat. I happen to represent the ALDG on the steering committee, and where we sit down to discuss key issues and things we need to do to ensure that we can leverage our gas resources for developing our economy and becoming a gas-powered economy by 2030.
So we are like 5 years in on that plan now. Do you think that, in your view, are we on track or falling short of some expectations?
Good. I would say we're on track.
Okay.
The first few years are usually the very difficult years. So the first few years was, for us to sit down, really deep dive, understand what the issues are, and then coming up with the necessary policies and actionable plans. Today, we have seen a few executive orders. If we've been following the news, in the last 1 to 2 years, we've seen a few executive orders, right, which are all, I would say, an offshoot of all the discussions we've had
going on
at the Decade of Gas, Secretariat. So one of the things, and I'll give an example, is the executive order with fiscal incentives that is now incentivizing upstream gas asset holders to produce non-associated gas, which will meet this demand supply shortfall I talked about earlier. Amazing. We've also seen quite a lot around tax incentives, duty waivers for CNG, LNG, LPG equipment.
So in your view, you're seeing practical steps being taken firmly, leading towards the decade of gas.
Yes, we are seeing that, and that is also because we now have one platform where issues are discussed, and then the various entities requiring for unlocking those issues are engaged. So the plan is, I would say, everybody's in a hurry. We want to feel the impact, but I believe that we're on track. There's still a lot more work to be done, but if we continue at this pace, I'm of the view, I'm optimistic that we would be able to achieve our decade of gas aspirations by year 2030.
Amazing. A lot is indeed happening. Because when we talk about gas, one issue that always comes up is infrastructure. We seem not to have the infrastructure. So the AKK gas pipeline seems, it's the rave of the moment now. I know in 2020 2022 or so, they had a tough time crossing the River Niger, and we're hearing now that they finally have. That's a lot of progress, as you have said. I was listening to the workshop that just recently had by the NNPC, where there was like a deep insight into the project and what has been happening. But my question to you is, enlighten us a little bit more what that project will indeed do for the sector. And as an association like yours, what are some of the benefits you're seeing, ahead?
Okay.
How are
Okay.
you people positioning yourself, preparing for it? What are your members saying
Good.
about that project?
Good. Okay. For gas, infrastructure is key towards developing a gas market. And let me use an analogy. The Escravos Lagos pipeline was built some 35 years ago to
Yes.
bring gas to the Egbin thermal power plant
From the south.
from the south. What that line has done is that today it has enabled gas-based industrialization. So you see, we've seen a lot of industries sprung up around the Lagos-Ogun corridor because today there is a gas pipeline,
Truly.
right, enabling industries to have access to cheaper fuel, and which makes them a lot more competitive.
Okay.
What the AKK will do for that region is that it will now enable that whole Kaduna-Kano corridor. For those who were old enough, years ago, that was also a major industrial corridor.
Yeah, with the
with
Ajokuta
all
still.
no, even for I'm talking about Kaduna and Kano, where
Okay.
you had all the textiles
Oh, okay,
and a
yeah.
couple of the food processing. That's also an agricultural belt. So all the textiles will now have there's now the potential to revive all those boribond industries because there will now be access
To gas.
which is much cheaper than the alternative we have today. Secondly, you're also going to open up new areas for industrialization, right? There's also an effect on power. We can also now start doing, distributed power or even having large grid power plants, as NMP is already planning on that corridor, reducing issues around transmission losses, and making also the whole power ecosystem a lot more stable. So the knock-on effects are huge. Let me talk about agriculture. Gas is one of you can use gas to manufacture fertilizers. So we can now site fertilizer plants,
Across
we can
that
site
corridor.
methanol plants across that corridor, right? Allowing people in that region to have access to more competitive, fertilizer because you are limiting the transport cost of bringing today from the south, right? As well as also opening up that whole corridor for industrialization. And finally, you did ask how our members.
Yeah, how you what are you seeing ahead?
Fantastic.
How are you positioning yourself for them?
Good.
What are they saying?
Today, most of our members have their projects in the southern part and the north central part because our pipeline footprint is limited.
Okay.
Our members are typically doing pipelines, right? So when you have a major backbone, you can now have our members connecting, do what we could say the distribution spurs, doing the distribution networks, taking the gas into
from the main source,
from the main backbone into the industrial clusters and connecting all the industries, right? So it's a huge opportunity for our members. It's also an opportunity for us to site CNG mother stations, LNG plants along that corridor and take further inland to areas because the pipeline is only along that corridor. It's not going to, pipeline, for example, is not going to Sokoto or Maiduguri today, right? But by the time you site your virtual pipelines, the CNGs, the LNGs, you're making it closer, to serve the stranded market. So it's a huge opportunity. Members are eagerly looking forward to the completion of that project because of the opportunity it provides us to take gas to the nook and crannies of the country.
Amazing. Before we go on break, I just have one more question. The Escravos Lagos pipeline, how would you say that has performed really over the years?
Fantastic. I mean, it's in fact today we have expanded that line because of the demand on that line, right? And that is a line that has enabled us to take gas all the way to the West African region. Okay. Recall that we've also extended that line to the supplying gas all the way through Togo, Benin, and Ghana, right? Okay. So, in my view, it's done really very well, and we need to build out more pipelines. We need to build out more pipelines.
All right, we'll go on a quick break just to catch our breaths, and when we come back, I have a few more questions for my guests. Where we want to deep dive a little more into CNG, what government is doing, policy, investment, all that you have around that. But don't go. We'll be right back quickly. Let's take this short break. Stay with us.
Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population and with little or no meaningful engagement leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.
Yes, welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. This is the Energy Outlook Live, and we're talking to you from Lagos, Nigeria. My name is Wisdom Chap Jumbo, and we've been discussing natural gas in Nigeria, and of course, deep diving into what the sector is about and what all you need to know. My guest is still with me, Mr. Oga. So let's switch the conversation a little bit now. Now, you are CEO of Highland LNG.
Yes.
Yeah, correct. So you're equally a player in this space. So my next question is on investment.
Yeah.
What are some of the investor appetite you're currently seeing around natural gas? You answered this first as a player, then as an association, which of course you're leading. Because since a lot is happening, where are you seeing investment more going? Are you confident with the level of investment inflow to drive a lot of what we have said that can be possible with gas, especially infrastructure-wise? Is money coming into the sector in a nutshell?
Great. Another great question. And let me start with Highland LNG, right? Highland LNG, which I'm the CEO of, is a special purpose vehicle that was set up to bridge the infrastructure deficit in Nigeria.
Okay.
So earlier on, I mentioned about the limited pipeline footprint. Today, our gas pipelines are only in the southwest,
Okay.
and even then, it's not right. It's just one major line with some spurs or some distribution networks.
Okay.
We have a bit in the southeast, south-south, and then we have the Oben-Ajaokuta stopping there.
Okay.
We're now building the AKK. But if you look at our pipeline density it's very small relative to the size of the country. So there are large parts of Nigeria that is stranded. Stranded means there's no pipeline
There's no
connectivity.
pipeline connect, yeah.
So we need to now look at other ways.
And this is mostly up north?
Yes, up north, even in the north central, even in the south. I mean, today, for example, Ibadan, for example, there's no pipeline in Ibadan, right? So to serve these markets, you have to look at creative ways, which we call virtual pipelines. Either you liquefy the gas, put them in rail or road tankers and take to the markets, or you compress them, put them what we call CNG skids and take to the markets. So that was one of the opportunities, or that was the gap we saw and decided to intervene.
Okay.
And there's still a lot more. The country is huge. We are a big, we have 200 million people that require energy. You understand? So we need to find more creative ways of providing energy and at a more affordable price, which gas provides us.
Yeah. So where do we find the money?
Good. The next
All
question.
All of this
You
is
talked about
infrastructure-wise.
yes, investment. So on one part, let me start with what government is doing, and we must commend, right? The Framers of the Petroleum Industry Act created what we call the Midstream and Downstream Gas Infrastructure Fund.
Okay.
It's still a tip of the iceberg. That fund is to help to, invest in private sector-led projects,
Okay.
right, that are focused on building gas infrastructure that will also enable gas supply, gas access.
So is that active already?
We have seen about 16 companies
Benefit from that.
benefit that fund.
Okay.
It's a growing fund, right?
Okay.
Because it's a fund which is supposed to keep growing. So we expect that there'll be a lot more, beneficiaries from that fund. But we're also seeing major investments come into the upstream part of the value chain, right? Based on some of the fiscal, some of the incentives, right? Fiscal incentives we've seen that have been granted in that space. So we're seeing the IOCs, we're seeing even indigenous players, right? The members, the independents, indigenous independents,
Renaissance, and
Aradel, fantastic, Seplat,
Pairs Energies, and the rest of them.
All committing to making more investments to bringing more molecules to the surface. And that is also tied to the demand that we're seeing. A lot more can happen. Like I said earlier, there's so much more that can happen. I'm in a hurry to see so much more happen. But I would say that investments are coming in. There is, secondly, investments are not isolated from the macroeconomic stability. The macroeconomic stability we are seeing is also now encouraging. One of the things about gas infrastructure is that it's capital intensive, and most times you have to go bring the investments from, most times they are FDIs. So you are getting investments in dollars. When your macroeconomic stability, exchange rate stability, and all those things were an issue, that was
difficult.
As
investors don't see, why should I put my money? How do I get it out, and all of that.
Then finally, to say, one of the things that is a good signaling for investments is also I'll talk about policy certainty, right? We're seeing that there's still room for improvement because investors don't like to invest in an environment that is unstable. They want certainty. I'm investing based on these rules, and they want to be assured that for the 10 years, the 20 years that they are locked in that investment, the policies will fairly remain stable, right? So that the economics of their projects don't change.
So you're saying we're seeing stability in our policies now?
We're seeing some stability, and that is creating the right signals for investments.
What about Nigerian banks? Some people have said that maybe the banks are not doing enough. Maybe they still have their own uncertainties on whether they should put money in some of this or not. And as an association, what are you seeing? What are Nigerian banks saying for the kind of investment that you may be looking at for?
So that's one area I see some room for improvement. And not to put the Nigerian banks on the spot, but Nigerian banks typically have short-term capital. The kind of capital required for gas projects is usually patient capital. The cost recovery times are long. We need more appropriate, financing terms, tenor, interest rates. So today we struggle with the kind of structuring and support we get from Nigerian banks, right? But we're seeing I think they're also beginning to see, and coming on board, right? We're beginning to see some longer term, debts. We're beginning to see better interest rates, but there's still a lot more that can be done. I, for one, would, for example, want to see banks, first of all, take a bit more, try to understand the sector, and be a bit more bullish about the gas sector.
Interesting. So the next question I have in mind now, I want to move to CNG a little more. And my question will come from the angle of many have said that government has shown confidence in the gas sector, and they've invested quite a lot. They've shown a lot of effort, and the presidential, CNG initiative seems to have crowned it all up. How is that going as an association? What are you seeing? Because I know you have members who are also pushing that. What are you seeing now with that initiative? Has it been successful so far in your view?
Good. I think the initiative, let me start by saying it was initiative was an initiative that we needed at the time, right? So I am one of the proponents of first subsidy removal. You can argue on how
Where the money is going.
if that has been, yeah. But I am one of the proponents, and the presidential CNG initiative was born out of that, right? To promote CNG as the preferred transportation fuel, because CNG is significantly cheaper, right? So that as fuel prices, as PMS prices have
Going up.
risen up because of the first subsidy removal, that the masses, we have an opportunity to use a cheaper fuel, because gas offers 40 to 60%, in some cases 60%, discount to petrol.
Yeah.
And secondly, because we also have this gas in abundance. So I think it was an initiative that was, that we needed at the time. And secondly, it was good that the government set up that body to drive it. What we have seen is we've seen quite a lot of investments going in the downstream part of the value chain. The CNG is also a value chain.
Yeah.
So conversion centers, we're seeing retail stations coming up. Unfortunately, there's been some mismatch in the supply side.
Yeah.
And this is no fault. This is, we need to have an understanding of why that has happened.
Yeah.
So on the supply side, for you to build what we call the CNG model stations that will supply
to
gas,
the daughter
yes,
stations,
right? It requires time. So we see people go ahead, invest in CNG, the appliances to use CNG, buses, right? But we haven't seen we have seen a commensurate, but it takes some time before the supply infrastructure will become ready.
Because as I was saying with you earlier, that when I was in Abuja just a couple of days, a taxi driver was excited, about the CNG, was very happy. He was telling me all his success stories, saving a lot of money, but he was so sad that before he could get it, buy the CNG product, it takes a long time. They could queue for hours, 4 to 5 hours just to get it. Even though he fills his tank, and he could drive all day, longer hours and make more money, but he queues a longer time to get it. So it speaks to what you're just saying, that's a big issue.
And just to add, but what is happening is, from where I sit in the association, there's quite a lot of projects under development.
Okay.
So I expect within the next 6 to 12 months for that to become,
materialized?
For a lot more, CNG supply to come to the market. Okay. Just for example, it takes an average of 18 months, to develop a CNG mother station. Mother station is the compression station.
Yeah, 18 months.
Yes, you have to go and get the land. You have to do what we call the environmental impact assessment. You do 2 seasons. You have to do the dry season and the wet season sampling before you get the EIA permit from the Federal Ministry of Environment. Then you have to now order for the equipment to be manufactured, typically manufactured in China. It's shipped down here. You have to do your port clearing. So before all that, it takes an average of about 18 months. And that is if you have all the financing in place. So when you check that, a lot of this presidential CNG initiative has created a demand, right? And a lot of the players who are now investing in the supply have only just started investing in the last 12.
Is there a way we can make that shorter?
So,
18 months is a lot.
part of, from the association point of view, we're also looking at how we can shorten regulatory approvals.
Okay.
Some of it is necessary. You must do the EIAs. And then things also around financing and all the contracting. But I think what I'll say is the industry, things will begin to change in the next 6 months as a lot of the projects, CNG compression stations get commissioned and start supplying CNG to the market.
Even the kits also, I just realized the kits, if you want to get it yourself, it's quite expensive, about ₦1 million, maybe 800, $1 million, some places 700. And I screamed, I'm like, oh God, I didn't know it was so expensive.
While that is expensive, if you look at the cost savings,
that's fuel, for the kits to change your car from fuel to CNG.
Yes.
Okay.
But those are areas we're also looking. We're thinking people who have some capital can invest there and find structured ways to recover their money over time. And one of the areas we're expecting a lot more, creative financing structures to come in to take that initial, cost of, I would say, switching costs, of consumers and spread it over some kind of credit
Amazing.
Structure.
So from all I'm hearing you say now, when we think of natural gas business in Nigeria, we see potentials, we see opportunities. There's confidence in growth.
Yeah.
We're heading somewhere clearly. Government is supportive. Government is making effort. I've just tried to put in a summary all you're saying. You are confident that probably in a couple of more months, if not years, as we go, if we sustain this, especially if we follow that plan with a decade of gas, we're going to arrive at somewhere where you see light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes, but that is not to say that we should rest on our oars, right?
Okay.
There's a lot happening. A lot has happened in the last 4 or 5 years, I would say. There's a more renewed focus on gas. But I would also say that there's also a lot more that we can do. And let me, just say, our gas resources, we have the 9th largest, you read it out earlier, we have the 9th largest gas reserves in the world.
Yeah.
We could actually potentially be the 4th largest, right? Because we have a lot of undiscovered, I would say, resources, right? That we haven't really spent time to go drill for. But let's stay with the established resources. There are countries with 1/3 of our resources that are producing 3-4 times more gas than we are, that are earning export revenues either via LNG or using gas to industrialize their nations. So there's a lot more that we can do, and we have a big population.
Which just crossed my mind now on, we have the next couple of minutes to wrap up, but it seems like a burden on the federal government alone. The state governments, where are they? What can they be doing from their own standpoint to indeed support all of these efforts? I don't see them a lot come up in the conversations. Everything seems to be federal government.
Very good question, and I would say that this was a discussion we had just a few days ago with somebody in the sector. We're already seeing states even say, hey, let's come up with our own state gas master plans. Okay. I think Oyo State already has a gas master plan. I think Lagos State is trying to develop a gas master plan. We have recently, I was in Oyo where NNPC GACN signed something with Akwa Ibom State government, and I think that also includes developing a gas master plan. So that's right. The subnationals, also need to know that they have a huge part of the responsibility to play in enabling the environment, and when necessary, also helping to build out infrastructure if need be, right? Or just creating the right environment for private sector players to come. But most importantly, having even a plan for where are the demand clusters, where do you want to take infrastructure to, so that private sector players, when they come in, they have, there's already some vision of where as a state what you want to achieve.
And the Association of Local Distributors of Gas are ready to work with the subnationals.
Definitely. Our members are always willing to invest. We have been investing in this space, and we're willing to keep investing.
Invest more.
To building out the required gas infrastructure to make gas accessible and affordable to the majority of Nigerians.
Amazing. All right. So, final question, just so that we'll say our goodbyes and go. My producers are already in my ears. If you could say that one thing that could position Nigeria gas sector to be globally competitive, what would that thing be?
Okay. Fix our power sector. And I will say why. So today, our power sector has the potential to consume a significant amount of the gas we have, right? Even more than what we're thinking of export.
When we look at gas to power.
Yes, when we look at gas to power. So if we can fix the power sector, right, and in fixing it, a couple of issues, from the liquidity issues to the infrastructure challenges, transmission, distribution challenges, right, will create a significant demand for gas that will incentivize the upstream producers to produce as much gas that they can. So I would want to say that sector has a key role to play in turning around the Nigerian gas industry.
It's gas to power seems to be like a different conversation on its own that, I mean, may take us another 1 hour. We didn't even touch on that part
No,
so
not at
much,
all.
as that would be, another part. But thank you so much, Mr. Oga, for the time. I indeed have enjoyed this conversation. So much to learn. We'll keep following this. That's why we have the Energy Outlook. And we want to bring the critical issues up to the forefront and be able to dissect it just what we have done. But we'll keep following the association and the work you're doing, and indeed maybe bring you up again another time to tell us how far things are indeed going, maybe in the next 6 months or 4 months, where we have more traction to look at, to speak to. But thank you so much. I do appreciate your time with us.
It's been a pleasure having me on the show.
All right. So I was talking to Mr. Oga Adejo-Ogiri, who is Executive Secretary of the Association of Local Distributors of Gas, and is equally the CEO of Highland LNG. And we did thank him for his valuable insight. This is the much we can take for this week, but I'll leave you with this quote. Nigeria has more gas than oil. Gas is the future. We must develop our gas resources aggressively and prudently. This is a quote by the former Minister of State of Petroleum Resources, Dr. Emmanuel Ibe Kachuku. That's a very thought-provoking quote, and I think I leave you with that for this week until we'll come back next week. In case you miss other episodes, you can catch them on our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV. All our episodes of the Energy Outlook, you can watch them there. Until next week, till I come to you again, my name is Wisdom Chap Jumbo. Same time, same station. Don't miss it. Next week, we'll be back. Have a lovely weekend. Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we'll analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.